Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show, a discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan Janes, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
Thank you, Bill Jones. Welcome into the All the Ball Sports Show for this day in February. It is the 6th day of February. Is it the 6th day of February?
You got it.
Yes, it is. 6th day of February. Thank you very much. Top of the show, I'd like to say that Eddie Bobo is not here. His sister passed away over the weekend. They're having visitation during the current hour.
Okay.
And that'll go on until 7 o'clock this afternoon. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Eddie and his family. Went out there today to see him, and everything's good. Everything's fine. A lot of people talking about the Super Bowl and how either it was A, entertaining, B, extremely boring, or 3, we don't care.
I thought it was exciting myself. First of all, to see Shaq win another Super Bowl was outstanding. I think everybody would agree with that in Columbia anyway.
Oh,
yeah. I like a defensive game, especially every once in a while. Now, if it was week in and week out, that'd be a little bit different maybe. But, come out of the high-scoring games that we have today and see two defenses play that well, that was exciting to me. So I enjoyed it.
We took a poll shortly before we left Gumby's house of who was going to be the MVP. And we said Edelman, hands down, because that little guy, he's something else to watch.
Yeah, he just gets open.
Yeah.
He just finds – he is hard. They double team him, doesn't matter. He gets open. Brady knows it. That was his target.
Yeah, he's so tough mentally and physically both, but he just gets in there and fights for everything he gets, and it's fun to watch. I think the Patriots target receivers like that. They don't maybe always have the biggest guys or the most gifted guys, but their receivers are always guys that fight for the ball, fight to get open, block well, just hard-nosed physical players. Fun to watch.
It's really fun to listen to folks complain about how good the Patriots are. They will always win. They're always champions. We're getting tired of that. Nah. Hey, they're winners.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun watching people win, and do it right and do it well. Now, I understand people being against the fact that they cheated with the video stuff, and that's true. I think they did. They paid their penalty for it. The people against the Patriots because of whatever you want to call it, Airgate or whatever.
Deflategate.
Deflategate, thank you. I knew I was getting close. That's ridiculous. The game that it happened in, they physically pounded the Packers. I believe, wasn't it the Packers? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That had nothing to do with the football. They could have been playing with an empty milk jug, and it still would have been the same result. So they just physically whipped them. And I really put that blame more on the NFL than on
the officials.
Patriots.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. Man, their
In high school,
responsibility.
as officials check balls in, and you can't put in a ball that hasn't been approved and all that stuff. Why the NFL can't do that and hasn't done that is beyond me.
Well, I know you had this one kid that had this science project where he proved that Brady was a cheater. Okay. Well, then you had this other kid from Knoxville who said, hey, look, you take a ball from the inside where it's X number of degrees, and you take it outside where it's like 12 degrees, it's going to deflate some. It's much like a car tire.
Yeah, that is true. They don't stay the same for very long. Now, I think Brady probably told somebody, I like the ball to be less deflated, put it as low as you can, and that's what happened.
And then when they did that inside, then you take it outside, it's going to be less deflated than what it was.
That's true, especially if it's cold outside.
Yeah.
Hatred towards the Patriots is very akin to hatred for Alabama.
Yeah.
These teams that come in as dynasties and they're always in the big show, and the best teams find a way to get there. Now, like Coach said, they paid their dues when they truly broke the rules and were acting appropriately. But again, that was 1 year, and maybe they did every year before that. But It's 2019. They played in the Super Bowl this year. They played in it last year.
Oh, and then it was Edelman's not serving his time for his PEDs.
Yeah.
His PEDs. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
He did his time.
Yeah.
He did his games.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
because baseball's got a rule doesn't mean football has to have the same rule.
Right.
Yeah, somebody came out with an article about that very fact, but there's, probably dozens of rules that are different between the sports. I mean, that has no bearing whatsoever, I don't think.
But the guys that he's going against are doing the same thing. If they,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of them. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's true, too. I
and
mean,
it's just
there were others
what it
that
is.
served penalties this year, and what'd they do? They moved on. So, I don't understand going back in postseason and penalizing again. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you want a more severe penalty, then just penalize them 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, instead of 4 at the beginning.
we could bring back racks and drawing quartering and a few other things. I mean,
Good point.
maybe the new league's going to do that. That kicks off this weekend.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Does it kick off this weekend?
Yeah.
Does anybody know it kicks off this
AAF.
weekend?
Well, they got
haven't heard about
promotions out there.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they've
Oh,
got some
okay.
promotions going.
Hey,
against
guess
some
what does start up on the 15th? It's called rugby.
All right.
It's go time. It's here. We're excited.
So you brought one of your assistants along
Hey,
with you.
joined by David Savage today. He's the SRO at our school, but he's also a former rugby player. And this man, this tall gentleman here, he's formidable.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he started at Central last year, and then lo and behold, he's there at the state championship. I'm like, yeah, that's the new SRO because you can't miss him. And I thought that was awesome.
often said that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you always recognize the people that come and support you, and they're there for you, and et cetera. And he was one of those faces from Central that made the trip to Murfreesboro, and I thought that was pretty cool. And so he and I started talking, and I said,
Well, I was there.
yeah. Well, you included there, Mr. James. So we just kind of started talking about it. I was like, oh, well, here you are, and he knew a bit about rugby, and so I asked about him. And Dave, you could tell a little bit about your background in rugby.
Yeah, so basically, I came, as a new SRO up in Central towards the end of the school year. I was like, whoa, they have girls rugby. I'm like, this is awesome. I have to see this. What's the hype about? The girls were excited.
And it's not just hype.
It's just not hype. I'm like, that's what I thought. I'm like, what's all the hype about? I've seen plenty of high school sports and school sports.
And this big banner he has outside of his
Now that he has,
classroom.
yeah. And, and there was these and these girls are putting up, white paper saying, hey, we got this rugby game. We're going to states. Okay, let's go to states. See what are these girls about? And the energy level and the camaraderie between the girls. I had one of the girls come to my office today, actually, and I was just like, what's up with the girls? And she said it in 2 words: we're family. They treat each other like family. I think the culture that Dan has started and has fostered and brought up in the program is just tremendous. And you can see it. And when the girls get together at practice, even today, raining outside, I mean, they're getting down in the dirt. They're getting in that mud. They're getting that grass all over. It's not like, ooh, I chipped a nail. It's hey, we got to do this. Hey, we've got to.
No, these are girls I've seen that do not care if they chip a nail.
They
don't care if they break a finger.
They don't care. We've got our hard chargers.
Yes.
We have our sprinkled, a couple ones that just got their nails done, and they're like, Coach, really?
And they got to learn. The first year players, they don't understand.
I just got my nails done. My mom's gonna kill me because I just spent $50 on getting my nails done. Well,
Why'd you do that?
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
you shouldn't have
sorry.
got your nails
But you
done.
know what? I mean, a learning experience. I mean, I didn't say anything about that
Yeah.
because every team they've all done it. They've all understood. But again, we've got so many new girls this year that it's just something that I just haven't talked about. So how would they know? So it's really on me. So.
And plus, it's the other girls, the veteran girls, the 4-year seniors, the 3 years players that are going, and they're like, it's not, hey, stupid, you did this wrong. It's, hey, this is how we do this. This is how we approach this. This is how you do this right. So they're correcting each other. They, because they want to be the best, and in order to be the best, the veterans, the ones that have been there, the 2, 3, 4 year players have to show the new people. They have to step up in those leadership roles, and they do it without question and without being told on that. And that was part of the reason I wanted to be in the program too. And it's just like, they're like, Coach Dan was like, hey, we're going to nationals. It's going to be here in Murfreesboro. So guess what? I showed up nationals. I was like, wow, and just to see girls rugby and all that. And so,
but you see the caliber of player that we have compared to the caliber of player they have.
Right.
And we're almost on a different level than where they are.
Yeah, we definitely are on a different level. The first team that beat y'all in nationals.
The only team you lost to.
The only team
The
they
whole
lost
year.
to the whole year last season. Wisconsin. I mean, technical. I mean, very, very technical.
Like a college team.
You can watch them and you'll be like, oh my God, you can see the plays for them.
I was the Rams coach that day. I was like, listen, everybody, listen. I right now you're watching me be out coached because
Right.
these girls are doing stuff that I watch on YouTube that Penn State does and that Lindenwood does and life. This is not on you. And we were a week removed from a state championship, right? So of course we're all like, afterglow of state championship. We get there like 45 minutes before our match starts, which is not, as any coach would know, that's not enough time to prepare for any game, right? So, we're happy to be in nationals. We're excited. This Wisconsin team has been there since like 6 a.m. practicing in the fields. They play second. They only lost to Hawaii, which is Coach Savage side's girls who live
Every
breathe
single
rugby. If you're gonna fly 5,000 miles across the world to play rugby, you're gonna bring some of the best players. So Wisconsin was such a good team, and I still have that film and I still study it because they're just a better rugby team. So something to aspire to.
And by
But
the way,
you can take that film.
Oh, and replicate it, yeah.
and
Which
break
is
it down.
Which is that's my playbook.
Yeah.
You see something, happen to your own team, you're like, dang, we're gonna use that. You see some cool players, some cool formation or set piece, you're like, all right, let's put this in. And so that's really been my coaching process, and I know that these guys will continue that in the future for sure.
we kept thinking we were seeing you Sunday on the Rams.
Some of my students said the same thing. That guy and I graduated high school the same year. He's 33. I'll be 33 in just about 20 days here. So it's pretty. I think that just real quick back to Super Bowl. I don't think that kid got enough credit, especially defensively. I mean, his team stopped the Patriots for 3 quarters. Goodness gracious, son, give yourself 5-10 years.
But there again, it wasn't. It was the older guy's mind,
Well,
of the
sure.
defensive coordinator,
Sure.
that was responsible for doing that.
Yeah.
Now,
But again, still head coach. I mean, still.
Well,
The head coach is smart enough to say, take
Right,
care of that.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And he if a guy my age in the Super Bowl
oh, yeah.
as a head coach,
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. If he had won that, it would have been very cool for like the idea of the story. But
then
again,
again, between a 33-year-old coach and a quarterback who isn't much younger
3 years,
than
3
that.
years out of the draft, right? Is this
Exactly.
third season? Yeah.
Exactly. I
Fourth
mean, bless
youngest
his heart.
quarterback in the
There
Super
were
Bowl.
sometimes he looked like deer in the headlights.
Right.
I
Especially
mean, the
that last
quarterback
pass.
did.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
That last pass. I mean, what are you doing, man? Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna float it, corner it. Like, what?
We do know now
That was a head
though,
scratcher.
that there was voodoo involved in that loss.
Yeah. Gronkowski had his little doll, and they're sanctioning him. They'll have some games they got to
It
sit
came
out.
from New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans. Yeah.
Some
That
voodoo.
that
some
was also
voodoo-
interesting.
What do you
Yeah.
call them, Dan?
Yeah.
Voodoo
Do
dolls.
what?
What do you call the voodoo?
The witch doctors?
Yeah,
Like a witch doctor?
witch doctors
Yeah.
or whatever. Had put a
A hex.
hex on them.
Yeah, there you go. That's the word. Yeah.
Can't buy that.
That was a salty loss.
But it was incredible that Gronk caught a pass with those long arms of his. That's what really caught the pass.
Yeah.
Was the fact he could reach out as far as he did. And he's like is it me or does it Gronkowski when he runs down the field kind of looks like a misfit toy?
He looks out of place in his own body. No, he really does.
Yes.
He looks like he's put together with metal parts.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Well,
watching
when they lost- when they-
Chara play with the Bruins. He's just so tall. It's just,
When they
like,
lost
wait a
against the
minute.
Dolphins, Gronkowski tried to make a tackle like the last guy, and I was like, he's not gonna make that tackle, and he didn't. I mean, that was rugby,
And that
right
was
there,
why
that
he
last
was
bit.
in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
But then again, Shaq came through the other night too on that touchdown. But when he blocked out that one guy that was going to come across, and then Shaq did his job for the second time in 2 games.
that's why they keep him, man.
Yeah, I'm
It's
telling you,
hard.
he's just incredible.
He's a worker.
Yeah, I think he had an excellent game across the board because the Rams were tough up front. my goodness, and about probably 3 times they stood Shaq up. I knew, not just that they were physically dominant, they had to have some awfully good technique because Shaq never gets stood up, and he plays leverage so well. But to Shaq's credit, on all 3 of those plays, he blocked his guy after the fact. So I think that speaks volumes for Shaq, and it makes a case for these people that are saying he's the best guard in the league or top 2 or 3, whatever.
I don't think Brady would disagree with you.
That's awesome.
Right. I think it definitely. I think they would agree with it.
I mean, just think about it, guys. I mean, really think about this. We've got a 2-time Super Bowl champion that lives here, played here under this man right here.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal. And Shaq is
and look at that smile. That smile right there says it all.
He is not that big of a man.
No, he's
he's not.
He's very humble in stature, and he's very humble in personality as
Yeah.
well. I've only met him one time at his football practice 2 years ago. Just a sweet guy. Not at all.
But you got to remember,
guard with the
Donaldson,
Patriots.
who he was lining up against, was the 2-time most valuable defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
And then you had Sue.
Yeah, Dominic.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about him.
Yeah. Well, he's had
two tough opponents
Yeah. They're
rotating around in front of you.
pretty impressive.
I think it's very easily the Rams' defensive front is the best in the league. They're just so.
Well, they weren't last Sunday.
When I say front, I'm talking about just their front 4.
Right.
And I think they did slow the Patriots down some. I mean, they didn't have the big monster outputs, but I kind of look at this as a credit to the Rams. The Rams did it without really big plays on defense, other than the interception early. There wasn't a lot of negative plays that they produced. They were just able to stop drives, and I think the Patriots had 3 and outs in a row. I think something close to that, without dominant plays, and I think that speaks volumes for their whole defense. But
Well, I think they got to them on that last drive when they scored the touchdown. The running game started and came together during that time, and and the Rams probably wore down a little bit because their offense wasn't doing anything. So
yeah, that's true.
they were on the field a lot, and I think that helped a whole lot.
All right, coming up on the 15th, we have Lindsey Nelson Stadium as our location for the Jamboree. And give me a rundown of who's playing in the Jamboree.
So on the boys' side, we're going to have Harpeth, Ravenwood, Blackman High School, and this year, for the first year, beating us to the pit, Spring Hill. We'll bring a men's team to the fold.
Really?
Yeah, and Coach Furtaw, who you guys probably know he coaches football at Spring Hill, he played rugby and still plays it recreationally, and he had talked for a long time about starting a men's team, and so they're finally gonna pull the trigger on that and bring boys, and I'm really excited about that because Murray County men's team that'll probably draw some interest in Columbia. We definitely have the boys, but the coaching personnel is just not there, especially with the size of girls that we have. Plus, the girls love having a rugby team, and the boys don't get one. It's almost like, I mean, they truly love it. So it'll be cool to see a brand new boys team competing, and they're going to get their faces smashed in, and that's just part of learning the game. And then on the women's side, we'll have Blackman High School, Ravenwood, Columbia, and Spring Hill. So Ravenwood's still poised to be a great team, lower in numbers as they have been in a couple of years. They're no longer in the high school. They kind of lost their teacher sponsors, so it's just hard to recruit without a teacher in the school. And so Ravenwood's actually the Lady Raptors now, so they can kind of recruit more area high schools versus just Ravenwood High School. Spring Hill's still really, still coming up, still strong. They got a couple really solid players who are playing in the All-Star Leagues with us, the USA South team, Natalie Garrett and Gwen Campos, little speedster. She's a sophomore. So they got some really, really good players. But I know that they're in the mid-20s to late 20s with their numbers, so they're still building that squad. But I think they're going to be, the most competitive they've ever been, and this is their third season. So, I rewinded back to our third season. That was our first winning season. And so it just takes time. You got to have experienced players. You got to have them leading the way. It's a player's game. So, there's going to come a point where Spring Hill and Columbia are going to have some really, really good clashes. And, it could be this year or it could be next year. So we'll see. And then Columbia Central, I mean, we are a brand new team. We've got 5 girls who played in the state championship last year. The rest graduated. And, we've got 20 girls.
Yeah, but how many of those still played coming up? I mean, you brought up an entire 4 years worth of girls,
right,
and 5 years worth of girls.
So this is the last year we had 15 seniors. This year we've got 4 seniors, and so the junior class, the class as it came up, last year's class was the big class.
Right.
That was the what Dave Savage was referring to, all the energy. That was that senior class. They were the core. We all came up together, learning rugby, improving how we played, and they were the team, and they were literally unstoppable unless you're from Wisconsin. And so, growing up in that shadow, think of the post-state championship football teams that you've had. Somebody coming up in the shadow of those very, very good players, they don't get as much play time. They don't have as much responsibility. They're just not as good of a team. I think back to 2012 when we came in my first year here, and we were the state runner-up, and then all those seniors graduated, and next year we went 2-something. I mean, we had a horrible season because those young kids just didn't have the experience, and so we kind of find ourselves in that mode. Though I don't anticipate him losing a season. We just have just a brand new team, and it's interesting because those juniors and sophomores from last year have really stepped into leadership roles and have really taken control, and it's awesome to watch them because they are just as intense as I am and just as intense as we need them to be. And so for them to not only do their job but also to teach these young kids, it's really fun to watch.
So basically, you got 5 extra coaches on the field.
That is essentially true. Our power combo, Nicoya Hayes and Anaya Ball, former basketball players who are now full-time rugby. Those 2 girls, they really run the show. And they, Hanai is more of a passive leader. Nicoya is definitely very vocal. And they're just powerhouse players, ball carriers, tacklers, rucking, et cetera. Stiff arm, exactly. I mean, they're hard to bring down.
What I look for.
Yeah. And so, those 2 players kind of at the helm together. And then just a lot of solid supporting players and a lot of solid players from last year. A lot of good speed still coming back. Mackenzie Lyles, Tiana Woodson, they were both starters last year in the back line, the little fast players. They'll be back lighting up the scoreboard. And it's just going to be it's a young team. It's going to be fun. These are all the JV All-Stars coming together and becoming their own team. And that's what I've told the girls. I'm like, listen, this year's about 2 things: defending the state championship and defining the next generation of this team. Because there's only 4 seniors that are returning. Now, there's a few first-year seniors that don't really count them because they're JV, basically. They're learning it for the first time. Right. So, it's been very transparent that, hey, listen, this year is about winning the state championship and setting up that next generation. You sophomores and juniors, what will you carry on next year? What team will you have next year? What are you going to build this year that you're going to cash in 2020? And that has been the theme of this year. So they're already rising to the challenge. I've told the girls, February 15th, the Jamboree, it doesn't count for anything. I'm going to give we play 2 22-minute halves. Every team plays 2 22-minute halves. And I'm going to say, varsity, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And I'm going to take you out and put the JV in for the rest of the game. And you JV kids, you don't know what you're going to do. And you're lost, and you're learning the game. So all I want you to show me is how physical can you be? How fearless are you? Are you going to go and take a hit? Are you going to go and make a hit? Are you going to be fast to the ball? Are you going to be sucking wind out of breath? We're going to finally see for the first time. There's over 25 girls that are first-year players on this team, and we're going to get to see who really has that fire to play rugby, and they're going to see for themselves, like, dang, maybe this really isn't the sport for me. So very excited about that because
what do you think the attrition rate will be?
We got 60 kids registered, and I'm again very transparent about this. And I told them first week in conditioning, we got some barnacles on this ship. We got people here. We have people here who are not going to make it because that's what happens every single year. We get a bunch of kids that register and kids fall off. Every single year, between 5 and 10 kids kind of fall off. And they probably didn't belong anyway. And that's okay. Not everybody's a rugby player. Those ones that start to teeter that I think could be players, I have conversations with them. I say, hey, listen, I don't have these conversations with people unless I know they have potential. You have potential, so get your grades right, get your behavior right. You should play rugby, but you got to want it. So, attrition rate, I mean, goodness, we got 60 girls. Of that 60 girls, we got maybe 25 who are true varsity contenders, and of the remaining 35, we probably have about 20 rugby players in that. So there's 10 to 15 girls who, I just don't know about. I haven't seen them in live action. I don't know how they're going to fare. But I mean, it's a good problem to have. 60 kids to choose from. My goodness, teams are trying to scrounge together 15 for a full side. Ravenwood's coach Richard Boone, one of my longtime friends and mentors, he's like, "Hey man, we might have to borrow some players for Friday night because I got kids injured, I got kids on vacation, da 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 da." I'm the luckiest coach in the state to have the size team that we do. To have, we did full team scrimmages today. I put together 3.
Whoa, back up a second here. You're going to loan our players to them
because it's a kindness that we were afforded.
Well, I understand kindness.
Yeah,
but there again, I also understand being loyal to your own team.
Well, it's not an expositional match, so there is no stake. There's nothing at stake.
That's personal pride,
right?
Dude.
Well, sure, and that's the thing. So it's a matter, and that's the thing. It's a matter of all right, first year players, who's going to go put a red jersey on,
Yeah.
and we do it, and of course it sucks to have to be chosen to play for Ravenwood or whatever, but at the same time, I remember 2013.
Yeah,
I remember having 16 kids and 2 get injured, so it's like, hey, coach.
I wasn't around.
Yeah,
then,
well,
so,
yeah, and I remember being there, and I remember being almost a little like ashamed, like I don't have enough
Blackman
members.
doesn't hear this because Blackman, I know Chris Binkley, he's going to be taking over the program next year. But when we were at this coaching certification course, the Blackman coaches were like, "How do you get 60 girls from one school to go in there and bash their heads in?" And we're like,
They're
not bashing
we
their
don't
heads in.
have
It's
60
family.
girls. We have 60 angry.
Yeah, they're
I
angry.
was just like, and I was just like, come on, you can find them. You just have to find the ones that you find the.
You gotta have a state championship.
Right.
You gotta have a
That
big
helps.
banner outside of your
Gotta
room.
have the banner. It helps.
Well, that helps, but
that
that's-
particular part of the hall. That's
Right.
That's rugby hall right now.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I forgot the art teachers are down there.
I don't even go down there. They scare me.
The art teachers or
The girls.
the girls.
I'm telling you.
They're ferocious. Every single year we have coaches meetings, and they all ask, what are we going to do to boost up our numbers, to increase rugby? And everybody's like, Columbia, what are you doing? And, being in the school is the first hardest thing for many of these teams. Rutherford County, Williamson, they all have a lot of backlash with their schools. And sometimes they've burned some bridges. And so just being in the school already, but, you got to have a culture.
But to be fair, 6 years ago, they came to you and wanted you.
One girl came to me.
Well, one girl, though.
Yeah.
But that one girl is now turned into 60 because they want to
They wanted it. Right. Exactly. There's that player exists,
Sure.
That girl that's really aggressive in basketball or soccer who gets in trouble for it, right? And every time that I hear about some new freshman soccer player, it's always like she's always getting yellow cards for being too aggressive. I'm like, cool, let's put a rugby ball in her hand. Adriana Langley, who I always talk about, she's a sophomore. She's the only freshman who played in the state championship last year, and that's literally what Coach Zidlowski said. He said, "Hey man, you got to get Langley." He's like, "This girl is just a beast," and she is. I mean, she's so hard to tackle, and there's just girls built for it.
It's just that Langley
right?
family.
Yeah,
That's what
well,
it is.
they're all yeah. I love the Langleys. But there's just that player exists.
Yeah.
And right now she's playing softball or soccer and basketball. And truly, like, if I'm being really honest with myself, I don't like that you have to take from other sports, right? But again, those girls have to play those sports. There's nothing else for them. There's literally no sport where a girl's going to pick up and run with the ball. They're either hitting it or kicking it or throwing it. There's no sport where they're going to tackle anybody. So for a lot of girls, you hear all the time, wish there was rugby in my day, because you see these, these big women, these strong women, they would have been great at it. So, but you're right. They got to want it. And I tell it to every new player, you got to want to be a part of this. I say it over and over again. I say, look at that board. It's got all the names on, all 60 names. I say, we don't need you. We'd love to have you. And you got to choose to be a part of this, because if you're not, I got people. I don't need you to play this game, but if you want to be a part of this,
I got people.
yeah, we got people.
I got people.
Yeah. So
Like I said, it's family. We didn't say what type of family.
yeah, exactly. And that's even a further driver, because they want to be those first 15 kids. So it's cool.
All right. Do you have any sponsors?
We we have sponsors that every single year, ones that I've come to rely upon.
Any of them that you can mention now, because we'll say thank you to our sponsors.
So McDonald's, the Wolf family, endless generosity. I cannot thank those people enough. They're really sweet. They just open their wallet to you. Parks Motor Sales, always. You ask for a check, boom, it's the same day. Billy Job works with Comfort Supply, Rudd. The brand Rudd, and so he's always donated. A huge supporter of rugby for a long time. The Bone and Joint Clinic, of course. I mean, a lot of the football sponsors you're hearing kind of a correlation here. Yeah. True Love's Pizza last year fed us as a team, and that's awesome. And I hope that they're doing better now. Okay, that's a bummer. Love that. He's a very sweet guy. Bone and Joint Clinic, Women's Health Group. A couple of auto, so Parks Auto, and there's also Mosier Automotive and 10 Star. Those are new sponsors as of last year. They really took care of us. So we're actually literally starting today, going back for those business sponsors. So if you are a business owner, basically we have sponsorship levels just like football does. And, at the highest sponsorship level, we'll create a banner for you and hang in our home games. You'll be on our program.
If you want to donate $10,000,
you would cover our.
Well, thing about it is, we'll put you in the press box.
Yeah. Season tickets in the press box. If you donated $10,000, you would cover our single season expenses in one fell swoop.
I think we'd probably get another assistant coach.
Yeah.
Not mentioning Springer's name and his world famous barbecue.
Seriously, even before we were on the map, before we were even winning, businesses have always sponsored us. So if you are a business owner, we'd love to have you as one of our sponsors, and we've always covered our expenses. So we're very fortunate that the community is so generous.
But the girls look so cool too. Their uniforms really stand out.
Hey, when they walk together, I mean, I tell the girls this all the time. Number one, it's just as important as Coach Ballou can tell you. It's just your mental state of mind before you play. It's just as important as how you play the game. So when we walk into a stadium in two lines in our suits and they see us get off that bus, they've lost. They look at us, they look at our size and numbers, they think, all right, well, we're going to lose. And our girls don't look at them. I say, hey, listen, when that team walks into our stadium or when we walk into their stadium, you don't look at them. You don't even look their way. They don't deserve your time yet, because you're going to get plenty of time to look at them when you're across from them beating them. And that is so intimidating for a team to be ignored, and for your team to be looking at the other team and it's funny because I tell all the girls, you're not allowed to look, but I look. And as I watch, all I see is kids just looking at our girls, looking at the size, looking at the numbers. I mean, they look good, they feel good, and it's very intimidating to walk, especially in the Lindsey Nelson Stadium, and we're all there in our warm-up suits and warming up and looking good. I mean, it's all part of the process. Alabama's practices I read about. Everybody's got a uniform. Everybody looks the same, or the units look the same. That stuff matters. How the kids feel and present themselves is part of being successful, and good programs do.
Well, that's one of the reasons Alabama, for years and years and years, have just put a number on their helmet. They've never put a logo or done anything like that. And that goes all the way back to Bear, maybe even before that, doesn't it, Coach?
It does, yeah.
Because he wants the player to be recognized by his number, and not with fancy stuff all over your uniform.
Right. Because you're not more important
than the next guy.
Yeah.
Next guy.
Yeah.
That's good mentality. I agree.
Now, I may mention a while ago before we went on the air that there's this picture that is on Facebook, and it is of the girls' sevens. How long did you say it took to make that photograph?
That was a 45-minute ordeal, okay? We sat in the middle of Lindsey Nelson Stadium for 45 minutes, 15 girls fidgeting and changing and shifting and making different faces. It came out great. It ended up very good.
After 45 minutes, it should have.
It really should have. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the 7-on-7 stuff is fun, and we do that to keep in condition. And 15s is the main deal. 15s, the season that's beginning this February 15th, next Friday. That is the main event. So we're very excited to get out there.
I'm looking to see if I can find the schedule.
I got it in my head if you need it.
Well, there it is right there. February 15th will be the Jamboree. Blackman comes to town on the 22nd of February.
So Blackman High School had a team forever. 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then 3 years ago, they did not have a team anymore. I'm sorry, 5 years ago. And then last year, they came back into the fold, and they came back in as a JV team. So Blackman has like 20 freshmen last year, so now 20 sophomores maybe. So they're still a very young team. And I hope that because they used to be a powerhouse. They would murder us when we were in the first couple of years.
They have a young, enthusiastic coach.
Young, enthusiastic coach. The girls are
enthusiastic.
very sweet. And I look forward to that team getting better and becoming more of a competitor.
Well, it's a great thing. The girls are sweet. That means they're not tough. So, therefore, we got this one made.
Got that one made. Yeah.
March 6th will be Warren County at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. To be announced on March 9th will be the Nash Bash Tourney.
Yep.
So what is that?
Up in Nashville, we bring the JV team up. And the reason that only JV plays in Nash Bash is because the fields are like cow pastures and they're very dangerous. And so I really don't risk any of the varsity ankles or knees getting twisted, et cetera. So that's a JV tournament for us.
Then on March 13th, we travel to Riverdale.
So Riverdale in sevens was much stronger this year. They finally have picked up some athletes and they're starting to get some more experience. They had a major restructuring when were you at the game when the game stopped and the kids got arrested?
What?
Yeah, so I think this is the year before you got involved. So one of the most fascinating rugby stories.
Obviously, I wasn't there.
My goodness, you guys would have loved it. So Riverdale.
Riot where
Yeah, a little
Shepherd.
bit. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So Riverdale was the first team that we were competitive with ever. They were the only team they were the first team we ever scored on. So our first year, we scored one time, didn't win a game, and it was against Riverdale. We scored one time. And so Riverdale's always been that team for the first couple of years that we were competitive with, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a very good coach. Me, also their coach who was in college. They were very undisciplined. Anyway, so it all came to a head. Adriana Duncan's freshman year, right? That group's freshman year. We're beating them in Lindsey Nelson Stadium, and they can't even stand it. Like, they beat us every year before that. They come to our house. We're finally beating them. There's like 5 minutes left. And one of our players, when I watch the film, it's illegal. It's not legal. Our player, the ball's on the ground. Our player pushes their player over, picks up the ball, scores. All right? Now, the ref made the wrong call. Okay? It should have been illegal use of the hands, and they should have gotten the ball back, no score. But we didn't. We scored, and we were up 2 scores at that point. But anyway, so the main Riverdale player, their big all-star player, right? She gets in the ref's face and with expletives tells him that was the wrong call. The referee goes, "All right, game's over. Columbia wins." Calls it right there. Finishes 5 minutes left in the game. Game's over. A lot can happen in rugby in 5 minutes. So she, completely eradicated their chances of coming back. But anyway, in the parking lot, 2 of the Riverdale girls got in the face of our girls and then got in the face of the SROs, Kirk Shepard and Tracy Duke. And she put her hands on Tracy Duke.
No.
Tracy took her to the ground, put them both in cuffs, wrote up the police report, and I still have a copy of that police report to this day because it was such a ridiculous. So there was a huge thing in our league, like, wow. So basically,
don't play Columbia.
No, seriously. Well, it was where were the coaches, the Riverdale coaches, right? And also where was I? Why were players interacting in the parking lot? Where were the parents? All this kind of stuff. So it was like huge sweeping changes to like our policy on like post game stuff, and we didn't play Riverdale the next year because of it. And
really?
And so there's like been this huge regime change. Now there's a kind of older adult that's in charge of the girls. Actually, a guy moved from South Africa. His name is Neil Higgins, super cool guy. He took over as Riverdale's head coach, and it's a completely different team, and they're building again. But they're on an upward path. So I look forward to more competition, more clean competition from those players.
All right, now coming up on March 16th at noon will be McMinn County.
That is the show. That is going to be a replay of the regional championship from last year. So McMinn, also known as Tribe, they have been the powerhouse in the East every year. And it used to be Maryville, which is huge in football. So McMinn came up losing to Maryville.
No. I know where you're from. You're from Michigan.
Sorry, Maryville.
It's Maryville.
Sorry, Maryville. Sorry.
At least he corrected himself.
Yeah. My apologies. And so that team has beat us every single year. They have stopped us from going to the state championship until last year. And so I'm very excited because that is always a well-coached team. They play a very slow, methodical game, but they're kind of like a landslide. They're slow and they just keep coming at you. So that is the big game. I told the girls everything is to prepare for that day because in my opinion, those are the 2 teams that will play in the state championship this year.
Then Spring Hill comes to town on March 28th.
Yep, senior night.
Okay, and then we finish out the regular season going to Ravenwood.
To Ravenwood, that's right, Crockett Park.
Okay.
That's where
Good
we'll
deal. And the regional championship will be on May 4th and the state championship on May 11th back in the borough again.
That's right.
Okay. Good deal. Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it.
It is gonna be the young blood coming up, proving themselves.
We are going to attempt, and I say attempt because you never know with technology the way it is, we're going to attempt to tape the home games and put them back on our own Facebook page for Columbia Central Lady Lions. Rugby.
Camera up in the
Yeah.
press box. Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to do what we can.
I hope it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hope it does.
be very cool.
So you're not going to live stream?
No.
There's no internet out there.
There's no internet. You know.
There
you
needs
know
to be.
that. Yeah, there needs to
There
be.
needs to be. Why don't they?
Why don't just.
It's 40 yards.
I understand that.
Hey, we'll throw in.
40 yards, my advice will be 10 miles.
I guess.
I'm just saying.
We'll throw in for it.
I mean, unless we piggyback off of somebody's internet that's out there
There's nothing out
in
there.
Columbia. Well, in Columbia Gardens.
Is there one at the All-American Little League fields there?
I have no idea.
I doubt it. I mean, there might be. Millennials, man. I want that Wi-Fi.
I know you want the Wi-Fi. I'd rather have the Wi-Fi.
Hey, think about this. Think about the money they could make. $1 pass for the year. Everybody would buy it. My goodness. You know, it'd be like $5 a year, but whatever it would be. Anyway, Wayne Lindsay. Why don't you put some Wi-Fi at Lindsey Nelson Stadium?
Hey, Maurice Patton's here. He just came in, and with all the weather-related problems and the flu and everything else is out there, man, it's got to mess up your.
And it doesn't take much.
And your world has got to be turned upside down.
Actually, I think most of it's kind of been ironed out. This is the last week of district basketball play.
Yeah.
For most of our schools, they had to shift a couple of things around last week and into this week. Mount Pleasant and Culleoka are playing tomorrow night, and tomorrow. This is Wednesday, right? Yeah, tomorrow night.
It is.
In their final District 10A game, but I think pretty much everything is pretty well shaken out. So I think a lot of teams kind of had the wherewithal to try to get their district games done before the final week of the regular season, so they didn't really run into too much of an issue here. I think Central plays Laverne tomorrow night in their final regular season game.
Is it going to be tomorrow night, not Friday night?
I believe it's tomorrow night.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Man, don't ask me questions
Hey,
like
I'm
that.
just-
It don't take
hey,
much for me to doubt
hey.
myself.
Well, me either.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah, it's tomorrow night. So, yeah, it's getting ready to be win or go home.
And then go down to Lawrenceburg for district play.
Yeah, I think they'll play their first game at home, though. Aren't district quarterfinals or the first round
Yes.
at home? So I was talking to Nick Campbell earlier today. I think Tullahoma and Shelbyville play the play-in game, and then Central will play the winner of that game. I'm not sure when that is. They have
I
their,
think it's Tuesday night.
they have their district meeting on Friday, and they'll iron all that out, I believe. So.
But there will be no games other than the play-in game or whatever.
Right.
Right.
It'll all be in Lawrenceburg.
Right. District semifinals and then consolations and championships will all be in Lawrenceburg. Which
I know you're happy about that.
yeah, that drive has not gotten any shorter. I just went down there Monday night and it's not gotten any
No,
closer
but it's better.
since last
It's
time.
all 4 lanes, so
And thank goodness for small favors.
I know.
Yeah.
But not like we used to be years ago.
See, we're showing our age when we start talking
I
about
know.
that.
I know.
Yeah.
It was
Dan,
bad.
Dan wouldn't know anything about
Nah.
it.
Wouldn't know a single thing
No.
about anything. Forgetting how to pronounce names of towns.
Summertown, Lawrenceburg.
Knoxville.
Well, the one would be that one in Shelbyville.
Yeah, Shevel. No, Howard Stone. Shevel.
No,
There you
Shevel.
go.
Yeah.
SH. I worked there. SHEVILLE.
Josh Taylor was. I was like, Shevel. He was like, it's Shelbyville. I'm like, Shevel.
Yeah.
I was learning. It's my first year.
Well, you worked there for how many years?
10.
You worked there for 10 years?
Yep. And I was told it was Shelbyville.
And they lied to you.
Because about half the people over there in that direction, maybe not in Shelbyville, but they'll say Chevyville.
Yeah, Shelbyville.
Shelbyville.
One more pronunciation.
Yeah, there's
Which
a
is
lot.
not to be confused with Fordville. Chevyville. Fordville. Sorry.
Yeah, you
But
should.
we'll add the cymbal drum in post.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to take a quick time out. I think this might be the first show that I've made it to since the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Taylor, if you're watching, your gift has gotten gotten an extreme workout this last few weeks.
Amy Foster.
Amy Foster, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
6 letters, my bad. I'm sorry. Amy Foster, your Christmas gift has gotten quite the workout. Thank you very much. So,
Yeah, he texted me that the other day. He said, "Tell Amy when you see her that her gift has gotten a lot of work this week."
yeah.
It's a stress ball. For
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
everybody.
Gotcha.
Sorry about
I
that.
didn't know
She
the concept.
she found us a collection of footballs, golf balls, and baseballs, and they come in their own little stand, and they're pretty cool, and they work.
Yeah.
Even though I must say, being retired, I don't have as much stress as I used to have.
That's nice.
That is nice. That's
just
nice.
saying.
I'm not retired.
Oh, and by the way, we would be derelict in our duties not to say something to Kirk Shepard, who suffered a heart attack on Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Oh, goodness.
Had to have 2 stents, which I understand I had to have one 5 years ago, and he's doing well. Molly took him home. Now, what kind of patient he is, I don't know. Molly can call us up and tell us, but I kind of got a feeling I know how he is, and I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah, he might have to be strapped down at home.
Probably so.
From what I heard, he was giving the doctors a little bit of grief and shepherdisms,
Yeah.
as we'll just say.
I can imagine. Wow, I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
That's
Good guy.
good to hear he's home. and
Yep.
doing
Molly got
well.
him to Murray Regional, and they put 2 stents in, and he had that typical Kirk Shepard smile on his picture from the hospital.
From the hospital.
Yeah.
Taking selfies in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
It's pretty-
So we knew he was doing okay.
Yeah.
When he does that.
Good.
Anything else going on in the world of local sports? I mean, I know a couple of signees today.
2 signees today, one in the north end of the county, one around here close. We got another one coming tomorrow. Of local interest here, Darian Davis signed with Missouri Western, a NCAA Division II program in St. Joseph, Missouri. And I don't think I'm letting any cats out of any bags to say that Dontavius Brown is Dooman is going to sign with Bethel tomorrow.
Really?
Which personally I think is a great get for Bethel.
Yeah.
They've had some success at the NAIA level the last few years, and I think he's going to fit in well down there. If they're going to let him play safety with that wingspan,
Oh, yeah.
you can almost reach from one sideline to the other.
He can almost reach one side of the court to the other.
He can.
In basketball.
And he has really taken it up a notch. I
And he
think.
is having fun with it because he smiles the whole time he's playing.
He's a good guy.
He's a good kid.
Is.
Yeah, had him in freshman football. Very good kid.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have him in class now, and he's a blessing to be around.
Does he want to go by Dooman in class?
Everybody calls him Dooman. He doesn't go by it.
Yeah.
Everybody calls
Just
him that.
Call him that.
Yeah.
I was at the assembly for Darian signing, and somebody was calling him Dontovius, just playing with him. He said, "Yeah, they play too much." But,
Yeah.
Well,
but
during-
I think that just kind of tells you the kind of kid he is. I think everybody enjoys being around him. He's a good kid.
Well, senior night, he wanted to be called 3 different things. He wanted Dooman, he wanted Dontavius, and he wanted I forget what the third one was. And I said, "Man, you get one of them." Then I gave in. I gave him Dontavius and Dooman. So, yeah.
If he keeps playing like he's been playing the last few weeks, I think Nick Campbell will probably call him Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had he only had 12 at Lawrenceburg the other night, but he's had 18 a couple of games ago. I think he's starting to knock down the 3 consistently, and if he can do that on a regular basis with everything else they got going on, they could make some noise.
So how was Mr. Campbell's reception at the former? Because everybody, for those of you who didn't know, that's where Nick Campbell came from. And by the way, his nickname is Soup. I want everybody to know that.
Of course.
Why is it
Just
soup?
saying. Well, because
Campbell.
Campbell's.
Yeah. But no, I think it went pretty well. I don't think they gave him too much of a hard time. Nothing that I noticed. I think he left there on great terms. It's just a friendly rivalry. But I did tell him, after beating them twice this year, it might be tough going back. So it's interesting. I think Lawrence County's kind of having a little bit of a down year right now. But they've got the district tournament on their home court, and Shane Clark this time of year is dangerous.
And it's hard to beat a team 3 times.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Franklin County and Lincoln County are kind of looming out there for Central. I think they lost to both of them. Split with Franklin County, I think, lost to Lincoln County twice. So they're going to be the 3 seed going into the tournament, and hopefully they can finish in that top 2 and get a region quarterfinal at home against one of the Murfreesboro teams. So
That's where it gets different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
I don't care whether it's football, baseball, basketball, whatever. When you get into the Williamson counties and the Rutherford counties, it gets different.
And Central had won the last X number of district championships, but hadn't been able to get past that region quarterfinal round in like 5 or 6 years, I don't think. Maybe longer than that. So yeah, it's a tough matchup for them, whether they're going over there or coming down here.
The Central had a player hurt, where, in Summertown?
Yeah, Eli McCoy, Jr.
Did he ever come back?
No, and I don't think at this point he's going to. If you've been to that gym at Summertown, then you can understand.
It's like the old Mount Pleasant gym years ago.
I've not been. I was not there.
Oh, it was. Oh,
but the cinder block wall at one end of the gym at Summertown is about as far as from me to you off the baseline, and I think he kind of got bumped going up for a layup and hit his head on that wall. So yeah, tough deal.
Yep.
It's more in line with the old CMA.
Yeah. But years ago, and people remember, if I say this, the old rivalry between Mount Pleasant and Columbia when they would play. And we'd go, it's like 1969, 1970. We'd all pile in a car, and you head down to Mount Pleasant. And this place was packed. I mean, at that time, the fire marshal probably should have been called, but he wasn't. And it was standing room only.
He was probably there.
Well, probably so. But it's standing room only, and they're standing on the floor all the way around that gym. And hot, but, man, that was a great time. That was a great time.
If you went to Hampshire, if you went
Oh, yeah.
down to Camelsville, that was a Quonset hut.
Well, I don't remember that, but I do remember when I was at Franklin coming down to the old Hardy Lloyd gym for some of those Franklin Columbia games. And it was a lot like that. It was tight and it was hot and it was fantastic.
I have to share this story with you. It was back when the kids when they first started spelling out lions on their chest. And Cindy Johnson, the principal at that time, she and I were talking up on the second level. And I looked down and I said, you might want to go change the spelling down there. And she says, oh my goodness. They had it spelled out loins.
The I and the O were in the wrong position.
And she went down there and grabbed them and turned them. She says, you need to be over here.
Reminds me of the I don't remember what the commercial was, but it was a groundskeeper in Kansas City, and they had painted the end zone.
Yeah.
Chefs.
Yeah. Kansas City chefs. Great Googa Mooga.
Yeah. There is good barbecue in Kansas City.
That's what I hear.
There is. Yeah.
That's what I hear.
What is it? Arthur Bryant's and Gates are the two big ones out there, supposedly. But
I wouldn't know. Haven't been there.
Have you not been there?
No, I have not. When are we going to do a road trip?
I'm not driving out there.
I'll drive. Hey, my buddy will fly out there.
Okay. All right. We'll do that. No, I had the good fortune in another life to actually cover a game at Allen Fieldhouse. MTSU played over at Kansas, and so I flew into Kansas City and got some barbecue.
I left my Jag in Kansas City. Silver Streak. Richard Pryor.
Oh, God.
Just saying.
You're going way back.
I'm going way back. Yes, I am. These two guys involved in rugby coming up on the 15th of February. We do have a jamboree.
The 15th?
Is it going to be?
I just sent Maurice the schedule because I had intended to. So now you got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what that
buzzer
was.
Yeah, I was like, Maurice should have the
Wait a
schedule.
minute, I sent you the schedule.
You did,
Okay, now you got
but
it.
he didn't know that.
You got it. You got it from
No,
two
you got it
places now.
twice.
Yeah, we have a lot of lot more home games than normal this year. So yeah, 5
Because
hour
we
team.
didn't we have 5 total last year of
we had,
games?
No, well, no, we had 8 games last year. But
Oh,
we
did
played
we?
each team twice. But this is the most home games we'll ever have had. So pretty cool. 5 including the jamboree.
Okay, all
So we're
right.
pretty excited. I mean, everybody loves playing in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. They love the lights, they love the grass. I mean, it's not the perfect field, but for what they play on rugby in the state, it's one of the Cadillacs. So
Where
it's
do
really
most
cool.
of them play? They don't play in their football stadiums?
Pick a pasture. Yeah.
Pick a pasture.
Riverdale, for example, Riverdale plays on the grass in front of their parking lot,
Are you serious?
next to the road.
Oh, come on.
There's no, I mean, there's no, they can't have games past 6:30
Yeah.
because there's no lights. And that's the thing
No
again.
lights in their stadium?
No, they're
no,
not playing
no
in the
lights, and
stadium.
they're not playing in the stadium.
Why are they not playing in the stadium?
Because it's rugby in that county. So they've
Great Google.
they've just
Google.
they've some bridges have been burned basically. So yeah, that's
Well,
why
it's like
they come over to Columbia.
Well, the March 16th when Coach Binkley and I went to the district meetings and all that, the McMinn boys team was actually going to play in Rutherford against Rutherford, but they have one bus that they're bringing. So we kind of put heads together, and Coach Boone was just like, "Hey, why don't you get the Columbia guys to get the have the boys get the boys game down there?" And they said, "Sure, no problem." So we're gonna have the boys and the girls team. That's why
On March 16th, the boys will play after. So that's cool.
So yeah, we're gonna have that. So I mean, both of them are down there. It's kind of a logistical thing for them, but some of the coaches were like, their fields are just, hey, we got the municipal park, we line it out, and we play right next to the porta potties, and it's just like, where's this at? And they're like,
Yeah.
So-
I mean, seriously, you go to places, it's a field, and they got lines, and there's
Well, the Murfreesboro fields are not great.
no, they're. I mean, they're okay. They're good.
They're okay.
They're good to okay for like the rugby world, but you're
good
right. I mean,
Lord, good Lord,
yeah.
in the summertime, man, it is hot.
Yeah, there's
That
no
place
shade, no cover.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
No.
There's talk. There's ideas that we're gonna do to Port Royal Park this year, but that would be Columbia, maybe Spring Hill coming together,
Yeah.
throwing it together. I would love that for the fundraising. I would hate it for the work. Because quite simply, it's a several $1,000 event, but
Right.
I got a championship to play.
But there's
for.
something. But there's
Yeah.
something we've got to cover here real
Okay.
quick.
Yep.
The fact that you will not be in this area
right.
past May.
That's right.
When graduation is over, you're taking your family and you're moving back to Michigan,
Going back to Michigan.
which is okay. I mean,
Have you been watching the weather recently, though?
family comes first.
I want to hear about it.
Family comes first, but you're taking
First
over.
family, then negative temperatures.
Right,
Yeah.
but you're taking over what I think is cool is an ice cream shop that's been in business for like 70 years.
70 years. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's my wife's family. Her aunt and uncle have had it for 35 years, so the 70 of it's been open. So my wife and I are buying it, and we'll live right above it. And then
Now you can't
from
get better. Than
I know
that.
from Memorial Day to Labor Day that it's open. So my son's gonna lose his mind when he learns he lives above an ice cream shop. He's 4 years old. It's like
From
his life.
Memorial Day to Labor Day?
Yeah.
And past that, you don't eat ice cream in Michigan.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because it's ice. Yeah, because you live in ice cream. So.
But I'll
yeah.
tell you what, my dad used to work for an ice cream shop. He did that for like 5 years, and he was in high school.
Yeah.
He hated ice cream after that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing to learn to hate, But anyway, so we're excited. It'll be a new chapter, and maybe rugby one day in Michigan. They've only got 6 women's teams in the whole state, so it's certainly an area for growth. But I want to kind of. This is a good time to reset because it's been very hectic the last couple of years, and very happy, very proud, and honored to be a part of it. But it's time to pass the torch and let the next generation take the reins.
Now,
So
where
I'm
in
excited.
Michigan will you be?
Southwest Michigan area, St. Joseph, Benton Harbor. It's where I'm from originally, and it's about an hour and a half from Chicago.
So you're closer to Chicago.
Close to South Bend, about 40 minutes from South Bend, Indiana.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not a Notre Dame fan, are you?
Wife's family is. big Notre Dame fans.
You notice you said that Weiss family.
Yeah,
is.
wife's family, big ND. Yep, for sure.
No, my girlfriend has family in Cadillac, so I was just trying to figure out if
Oh,
I
okay.
could swing by your ice
See,
cream
in Michigan,
shop.
it's very much a Chicago or a Detroit thing, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
closer to Chicago than Detroit, so you get a lot of push pull. So it's interesting. Yeah, for sure.
And we have my wife has relatives that live in Chicago.
Oh, okay. And I love Chicago as a city. I love the city. Yeah. Nashville's better, but I like Chicago a lot.
There you go.
I've already told Dan my daughter's in Michigan as well. I'm a Michigander, so when I'm going up there for
A Michigander.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
Michigander.
Michigander.
So I've already told Dan. I'm like, hey, I'm stopping through on the way
Stopping
up.
through.
So
Come get a cone.
So
Yeah.
Just make sure you do it in the summertime.
Yeah.
Oh, it will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
while
after
the ice
Memorial
cream
Day.
shop is open, yeah.
That's right.
That is true. Well, listen, guys, thank y'all. We'll see
for
you on the
having
15th, Lindsey Nelson Stadium for the Jamboree for rugby.
Yes, sir.
That's on a Thursday?
Friday.
It's on Friday.
Friday the 15th.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. My bad.
Don't mess me up, man.
No, I'm
Don't
sorry.
mess me
I'm
up.
sorry.
Don't do it. Coach, thank you for coming in.
Thanks
Chip?
for having me.
And always, Maurice Patton. Can't do a show. I really can't. I can't do shows without Maurice Patton.
Hey, you'd better.
Have a good evening, everybody.